Apparently it's not over for them after all. Apparently it's not all over for game theory, dude.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
Which is, I'm pretty neutral on the subject, to be honest, but do you guys watch them? Are you guys game theorists? I think they've done a few Brawl Stars videos. This one's 3 years old, though. The Dark Lore. I'll watch this recent one and see if it's interesting.
There's more lore in Brawl Stars? Yep, turns out in the 3 years since we last covered it, there have been a load of new secrets that have been added to this game that not only mess with our original theory, but they potentially screw up the entire timeline of this franchise.
Ain't no way.
Let me show you. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
You're not Matt!
What the Sigma?
I'm glad I watched that other video or I would have been shocked. Why does Matt Pat sound like this guy with the fake eyes?
Show that once you subscribe.
No, this is Patrick.
That's right, loyal theorists, we're finally paying another visit to the amusement park turned battle royale, Brawl Stars. If you don't remember, 3 years ago, we teamed up with Kairos Time to help break down the hidden lore of this game, because Matt and I initially weren't sure that there was going to be much in a top-down mobile game, but boy were we wrong. There was a secret hidden radio station, mysterious packages sent to YouTubers like Kairos, and the piece de resistance, a video designed to attract investors into financing the theme park. Trust me, it's more interesting than it sounds. This thing was full of references, cries for help, and surreal.
Is this a real theme park for Supercell's Brawl Stars, dude? I feel like they didn't even give a shit about this game until like last year.
Visuals that would make anyone's head explode. We discovered that this game was taking place in a theme park.
Who wants to ride the dynamite
make
mouth
anyone's
coaster?
head explode. We discovered that this game.
Is this real? Chat? Is this real? Chat, can I go inside Dynamite's mouth?
Game was taking place in a theme park known as Starr Park, and the matches we've been playing on our phones, they're completely real. As the host puts it,
In the future, the children control a glowing rectangle.
To do this, Starr
What the hell was that? What are these clips from? I might have to go back and watch the first video.
Park built a model version of the park full of these brawlers for us to control. But it turns out these brawlers aren't just mindless toys we're playing with. Throughout the video, we saw people asleep while still moving around, including some real-world versions of brawlers. This tied into Starr Park's hidden radio station, the WKBRL, which would keep telling us to stay asleep, to not awaken, and to continue exercising and smiling throughout the day.
This is your smile reminder. Smile, smile.
Smile!
This was then hypnotizing the guests, the staff, and yes, the brawlers. While their bodies were in a trance-like state, eating, exercising, and resting in the real park, their subconscious minds were being put into the model brawlers we were controlling, all with the goal of training their minds subconsciously into becoming super soldiers for world domination. Bet you didn't expect that from a random mobile game. It was.
I mean, that was just the coolest thing I've ever heard, and not stupid or dumb at all that you made up.
It
wasn't obviously made up.
But that was basically the entire lore of Brawl Stars. Or so I thought, until I went to VidCon.
Oh,
Firstly,
no.
I just want
Nothing good happens at VidCon. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's probably... No, nothing. Apparently,
Secondly,
this guy's
whenever
different.
I asked anyone what game they'd like me to cover in the future, the one response I kept getting over and over again was, you guessed it, Brawl Stars. And when I asked you why, you guys told me about a new set of videos, a secret CCTV feed that was full of that sweet, juicy lore. Lore that might actually poke a few holes into our initial theory. So, of course, I had to check it out, and you guys were not lying. There is a bunch of stuff that's happened since our last video, and it all paints a very interesting picture about the origins of Brawl Stars, the destruction of Starr Park, and the ridiculous length Starr Park is willing to go to for world domination. So, strap in, friends, keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times, because we are about to ride the crazy coaster that is Brawl Stars.
Strap in, everybody. Are you guys strapped? You guys got that thing on you? I'm skipping ahead. This guy's pissing me off. Bring Mad Pat back.
In what looked like a security office. Ah, the favorite room of theorists. All they needed was a couple of animatronics and dead kids, and my theorist senses would have drawn me to this stream immediately. But the real mystery was only just beginning. After the Brawl talk, a security camera suddenly appeared in the Brawl Stars lobby screen, and if you tapped it, you would be taken to that same security room. It's here that the game slowly began dropping its new lore. Watching the CCTV, we can see some familiar faces popping up. Brawlers like Bull, Leon, and Nita can all be seen throughout the park, except they're not really doing anything. They're just acting like guests or employees at the park. No fighting,
They're
no
vibing.
brawling, no nothing. The brawler Dynamite is also just doing his thing in the mines below the park. He blows up a wall to reveal a treasure trove of purple gems which he ecstatically scoops up. And this is where things take a turn. Dynamite visits the local diner and drops a gem on the counter in front of the friendly fry cook, Bull. Bull picks up the gem and something inside him changes. He rips off his uniform, slams a customer's face into a table, and then howls out of the diner a changed man. Seems more like a werewolf than a bull to me, but I don't want a face full of tables, so I'm gonna let that slide. As time goes on, more and more characters we know come into contact with these gems, and they change from peaceful inhabitants of Starr Park into the chaotic brawlers from the game. They even gain their ability to respawn. Dynamite gets shot and left in a bush, only to bounce back out a few days later, totally fine. All of this finally culminates in the sentient cactus Spike standing in a cloud of green gas with spirits rising from the ground and him falling over lifeless amidst the burning remains of Starr Park. I totally understand why people wanted us to cover this. Before the gems were discovered, Starr Park may as well have been a knockoff Disneyland. But
I mean, it goes deep apparently, but deep to nowhere. This hole is going nowhere. This guy ain't he ain't cooking shit. Who let him cook?
once they're found, the whole place falls into mayhem, bringing the worst out of everyone who comes into contact with them. Bull even went so far as to shoot children in the face when they tried to steal his gem. Seems like one heck of a reaction from a previously
So he had a reason. They started it.
Mild-mannered fry
That's what it sounds like. He was brushed over that.
Real-world science. Clearly, these gems are powerful. In the game, they're used to power machines, and in this footage, they have enough energy to mutate animals like Crow and bring inanimate objects to life like 8-Bit and Spike. This feels in line with the pop culture idea of how radiation works. But did you know that studies have actually been done on the long-term effects of radiation on human psychology? One of the side effects of long-term exposure due to things like radiation therapy was that patients began to exhibit more aggression after treatment, just like we see here with our brawlers. We also see this in the Starr Park investor video. Our host slowly moves inside a cave that glows a familiar purple. Upon entering, his demeanor changes.
It's Dynamite's mouth! Oh no! He's going in!
This man has remained calm and collected the entire video,
I think this guy's had enough of everything.
including when he was having his hand burnt off by acid. And yet, suddenly, this is the moment he loses his composure and becomes aggressive towards the viewer. If you look closely at the scene, you can see an employee using a pickaxe. That's not a typical construction tool. He's mining for something. And
I yearn for the mines. I'm mining wisdom teeth.
How his orange jumpsuit looks almost white at the bottom here. The color is being blown out because he is standing right next to a light source. A light source that is also making the entire cave purple. It's the gems. At the same time, another employee is carrying sacks out of the cave, which look awfully similar to the classic bags used in mines to carry precious materials like gold or gemstones. That's why once our host enters the cave, he loses his composure. The radiation from the gems twists his mind into an aggressive state, just like our brawlers. But this presents a bit of a problem. Back in 2020, Brawl Stars content creator Gamba received an old laptop directly from Starr Park, and it contained a HTML document that told us that the investor video took place sometime in the late 50s to early 70s. But if you take a look at the time code in the CCTV
iPhones were not invented yet, so not likely to.
TV footage, these gems weren't discovered by Dynamite until November 5th, 1995. How can they have been actively mining these gems in the 50s and using them for brawls if they weren't discovered until the 90s? The timeline just doesn't match up. And it gets worse because during the investor video, we see an old photograph with 3 men in the background. This is a photo of Danny, Frank, and Ryan, senior members of the Brawl Stars.
Hey, it's the Brawl Talk boys. Freaking, why are you watching one of the theory channels? Dude, I'm learning about the dark lore Brawl Stars doesn't want me to know about. What up, Courtney? What up, Skylar? What is that video? 7 times. Albert, you might have to link me that, buddy. I don't know what that is.
Even made a Twitter post saying, good memories from my Starr Park visit with Danny Supercell a few years ago, and then showing a picture of some retro memorabilia from their time there. How can they be here in the present day, but also be there 50 plus years ago? Same thing goes for characters like Leon and Nita. They are kids in the background of the investor video, but they're also kids 40 years later in the CCTV footage. And I thought FNAF's timeline was bad. This is a whole other level. This just isn't how time works. Or should I say, this isn't how time usually works. Because there is an explanation for all of this timey-wimey stuff we're seeing, and it's one that's been right under our noses for years. Before the WKBRL streams were taken over by Starr Park, a ranting man used the frequency to rant about various Starr Park conspiracy theories.
Like
However, most of them have ended up being completely true, and they have been incredibly useful for figuring out the lore. So when I went back and heard him say this line, I took notice.
Interdimensional theme parks. Do they exist? Obviously. Are they expensive? You bet your butt.
Starr Park has invented interdimensional
You ever
theme
opened one?
parks. The word interdimensional means something existing or traveling between dimensions of space and time. time. Starr Park exists between dimensions of time and space. This could explain a lot of the timeline issues we've been having. The gems were discovered in 1995, but thanks to Starr Park's development of interdimensional theme parks and their control over time and space, they were able to go back in time and mine them in the 1950s. It could also allow you to bring the Brawl Stars developers back in time to visit the park in its prime. The question is, how? Well, I have one word for you theorists: wormholes. Wormholes are essentially portals that are connected together across time and space. One part...
Bro, no they're not. Okay, prove it. Just kidding, he's probably right. He's a science nerd. Just taking a moment to yearn for the mines. Hope they come back before this ends.
Of a wormhole could be here, in our universe at this very point in time, while the other end could be in the past, in the future, in a distant part of our universe, in another dimension entirely, or any combination of those. Right now, wormholes are just hypothetical, but they do follow Einstein's general rule
I knew
of
I shouldn't have been
relativity,
so accepting.
They are technically possible. We just never managed to create or observe them. Starr Park, on the other hand, seems to have figured it out. A
That's
couple of weeks
real.
before the release of the investor video, players were able to access a new minigame
That's the
called
real
Project
thing.
Laser. It's a retro scroller shooter where you control the character 8-bit as he shoots enemies and meteors across
Dude, this looks fire. Way better than Brawl Stars. Turn that game off, am I right? Just kidding, put it back on.
the cosmos. As you do, you come across a strange portal. If you follow your gamer instincts and just shoot it,
My
you
gamer instincts.
can
I will not be following
yourself
that.
in a new world full of slug versions.
I can't,
of
not
blueprints
again.
And a large dome that looks strikingly similar to Starr Park's central dome. 8-bit used a portal
like
and is
Epcot.
now in an alternate dimension. Starr Park still exists. The inhabitants are just slugs instead of humanoids now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call an interdimensional theme park, accessed by a wormhole. This isn't just a fun minigame either.
Is bro spitting, chat? Does anyone know? Any scientists in the chat, let me know. Is he spitting? Yes or no? Not quite.
Paid close attention to the starting screen, there's a message
I'm
telling
something
us
of a
that we're
dimwit.
about to access 8-bit's core memory files. These events are real events from his memories. We saw 8-bit come to life in the CCTV footage, and then at some point, he did find a wormhole, and he did travel into an alternate dimension that has its own Starr Park and Brawlers. We also see Brawlers using portals in other
Something of a
games made by
scientist
Supercell. In
himself.
Clash of Titans Egypt map, we can see Shelly poking her head out of a portal, appearing in a universe she doesn't belong to. Even more recently, Supercell released the game
Shelly.
Squad Busters, where you can combine the forces of all the characters from across their franchises, including Brawl Stars. The promotional materials show these characters entering the world through these chests with a purple spiral on them. Portals are often depicted as spirals, and the purple, well, remind me what color these all-powerful gems Starr Park is harvesting are. In fact, we see the same visual representation.
Just a
in the investor
coincidence.
video.
What's with the giant Godzilla man kaiju? Businessman kaiju coming to destroy Epcot. Made up in Brawl Stars, though. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
As the host goes into the gem mineshaft, we see his face contort while a purple spiral
He's getting
visual
eaten.
appears behind him. Afterwards, he's suddenly in a new location and is noticeably shaken by the ordeal. These gems have provided Starr Park with the ability to create wormholes, and since then, they have learned to control them. Even the company's name is alluding to their use of wormholes. Right at the very start of the investor video, we see a company logo flash on screen. The name is in Japanese, but
Wi-Fi!
translated it says Supergiant Corporation. A supergiant is a type of star, one of the biggest and brightest in the galaxy, which might explain the name Starr Park along with all of its star-themed merchandise. But more importantly,
It's all connected. It's all making my brain blast. It's all making sense. All right, wrap it up, boys.
when supergiants reach the end of their life cycle, they collapse in on themselves, forming a black hole. Now yes, black holes are not the same as wormholes. A black hole is basically a one-way trip to nothing. But scientists have theorized that you may be able to connect two black holes together, or that a black hole could connect to a theoretical white hole. In both cases, that would turn a black hole into the opening of a wormhole. And what do we see at the end of the CCTV footage in 1995? A completely destroyed Starr Park. A dying star, if you will. And when the star dies, it creates a black hole. This destruction in 1995 led Starr Park to harness the power of the gems and create wormholes in order to go back to the 1950s and start over. It's
Why would you want to go back there, dude? It was they didn't have iPhones. They couldn't play Brawl Stars. They were probably saying racial slurs left and right.
kind of poetic. when you
Different
think about it.
times.
But why are we seeing
I
other
wouldn't
versions
wanna
of
go
the
back.
park across dimensions like in 8-bit's minigame? If the goal was just to fix their failed attempt at a park and become a bigger success, they could have done that with just one time travel trip instead of going interdimensional. And good luck trying to explain that cross-dimensional revenue when tax season comes around. It just doesn't feel like a viable business move. And that's because it isn't supposed to be. In our previous theory, we proposed that these brawlers had their minds separated from their bodies. Starr Park was putting the minds of the brawlers into these tiny models that we see in the investor video in order to train them as super soldiers. Their bodies would remain active inside the real park, eating, exercising, and resting, all while in a trance-like state thanks to the Star Hand and WKBRL streams. Meanwhile, their
So you're telling me this isn't happening? This is just what they thought happened?
conscious minds were inside these models, able to partake in
me be
thousands of
clear.
rooms, all while being controlled by us players. When they died in the game, they just have their minds transferred into a new model and go again. Eventually, they'd be pulled out of their trance with all the knowledge and experience of battle, ready to take over the world. At the time, this was our way of explaining how the characters were able to respawn. But as we saw in the CCTV footage, these characters kind of just can respawn thanks to the power of the gems. However, while the justification for their respawning may have been debunked, I still believe we're on the right track with the super soldier idea. We just need to think bigger. At the end of the CCTV footage,
smaller.
Spike releases a green gas, and after all the spirits fly away, he falls over lifeless. Players will recognize this green gas as the poisonous gas that fills the arena during a showdown event. In this event, there are no teams and there is no respawn. You just have to be the last one standing. As time goes on, more and more gas begins to fill the space, making it harder for brawlers to survive.
They got that good cushion alcohol. I can tell from the way he's looking.
Only one will remain. But what happens if you're knocked out?
Hey,
No
you.
big deal. You just leave the game and start another, sometimes even on the same map. But that wouldn't be possible if there was just one model park in one timeline. The previous match might still be going on, or the same character might be currently under another player's control. Instead, it's way more efficient to just send that consciousness to another brawler in another Star Park
Just
in
send
another
it to my
world,
brain
where they
under
can
my
immediately
haircut.
go again. One of the brawlers, Bo, even alludes to this in his voice lines.
There is no death, only a change of worlds.
Spike was
Whoa.
the last man standing in the CCTV. The spirits we see flying away are the minds of the brawlers that lost to the poison gas.
Wait till this guy finds out Buzz Lightyear's in the game now. Yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Transferring to another world to play again. That's also why Spike falls over at the end.
Oh yeah, and SpongeBob? Yeah. Good luck figuring that timeline out, pal. It's hopeless.
May
It's a
have
lost
won, but
cause.
the person controlling him moves on to find a new match, leaving behind nothing but a lifeless cactus on the ground. When these characters die from things like the gas, or they lose a match, or even if they win a match, the player controlling them lets go, taking the mind and soul of the brawler with them. They find a new match, a new world, a new dimension, and do it all again. Starr Park's plan is so much bigger than we ever realized. Each game we play, each game anyone plays, it's not a model park. It's a real park from a random point in time and space being destroyed. Starr Park doesn't even care about the damage anymore. Every one of these battles helps them
That's a
train
lot
their
of
hypnotized
damage.
brawlers' minds into becoming super soldiers for interdimensional galactic domination. So a few thousand parks get destroyed. So all the investment spent on the parks is lost. So a few thousand park guests get caught in the crossfire. That's just the cost of doing business. They've got infinite
You
galaxies and
sick
timelines
fucks.
at their
They can't
disposal.
keep getting away with this, but they will though, because I mean they won't, because it's not real.
And with that many brawls happening across an infinite universe, I think we may have underestimated just how many of these super soldiers they have waiting in the wings of that original park, ready to wake up and
Just
take
say
control
the
of the
thing,
multiverse
man.
when the time comes. But hey, that's just a theory.
Huh?
A game theory!
Woo! He said the thing! And I was here too!
Fuck you,
And
Spider-Man!
I've been meaning to get that off for a while. So, shout out freaking game theory-less, or Matt Patless game theory, dude. I just checked. The modern one is fine. They taught me about Brawl Stars. I don't know what they were on about, to be honest. But I learned a lot.